Welcome to today's webinar. Today's topic, we will be looking at OSHA's recommended practice for safety and health programs. My name is Annette Olison, and I am a certified industrial hygienist and a certified environmental trainer. I am part of the Pennsylvania OSHA consultation program operated out of Indiana University of Pennsylvania. I have been with the program for the last 24 years. And I have been doing safety and health work for some 30 plus years. So just some information about the seminar or about the webinar. It is a PowerPoint presentation. If you have questions, you can post them in the chat. If for some reason we cannot answer the question immediately due to the nature of the question, we will post the answer on our website within 7 days of the webinar. So an overview of the webinar, it provides a look at OSHA's publication number 3885 entitled Recommended Practices for Safety and Health Programs. We will discuss the different sections within the document along with how it's designed and the content of it. The goal of the webinar is to have attendees become familiar with the document in hopes of using it to implement safety and health programs within their own company organizations. So a little introduction. OSHA recognized a need to update their 1989 Safety and Health Program Management Guidelines, and this was due to several business sector changes. The nature of work has changed. It has shifted from a manufacturing base to more of a service-based type industries. And also, we have moved from a fixed type workforce to possibly a more mobile workforce. Work activities have become more automated. We're implementing more computers and robotics within our workplaces. Also, we have a workforce that's greater in diversity. We have several workforces that have different speaking languages within it. We also have a changing workforce. An aging workforce. The aging workforce might pose a higher risk for possibly work-related musculoskeletal disorders. There are also changes for our typically our low-risk workplaces, for example, healthcare, lodging, retail. These workplaces may face more significant hazards today. And also we have an increase in our temporary workforces. We have, rather than the traditional relationship between workers and employers, we're shifting more over to, we have employers and temporary agencies placing a workforce within a company. So the guideline is designed to help the small to medium-sized workplaces in several different work environments. It focuses possibly implementation on the manufacturing side or even the construction side. It emphasizes a proactive approach to managing workplace safety and health, and there's a continuous improvement component to it. It also discusses the benefits of implementing a safety and health management system. Talks a little bit about direct cost, indirect cost, the benefits from reduced workers' compensation costs. So there are 7 components within the guide, or seven core elements that they recognize. Inside the core elements are action items for employers and employees to take to establish and implement and maintain and improve a safety and health program. These core elements are interrelated so that one element affects another. They're not independent, but they sort of coordinate together. So some things to remember as you're implementing your programs is that one size does not fit all. We have different workplaces out there. We have different sizes, we have different conditions, we have different hazards. So what one workplace may face, another one may not. And you need to fit your program to your organization. Also, remember that worker participation is critical in developing and implementing every element of the safety and health program. Workers have possibly a different perspective. They might have expertise or input into some of the hazards that might be existing within the workplace. Keep in mind, you may be dealing with more than one employer. As I mentioned before, we have host employers, we have contracting agencies, possibly in the workplace. So I'll talk a little bit more about this as part of one of the core elements, but keep in mind, you have to make sure that you include these additional employers into the program. So let's talk about the first element, or the first core element. And this is probably one of the most important ones, management leadership. Program does not really get established unless this one is solid. Management needs to communicate their commitment to safety and health. They do this by establishing a policy, making safety part of business decisions, and setting a good example. When they walk the floor of the workplace, do they have all their PPE on? Are they having conversations with employees about safety and health and their concerns? Also, there needs to be some goals set, realistic and measurable. And then after the goals are set, establish an action plan. Where are you going to go with your program? How are you going to get there? And set some timelines. Allocate resources. Management needs to make safety and health part of their budget and allow time for employees to participate in safety and health, meaning when they're give them time to conduct workplace inspections, give them time to attend safety committee meetings. Also, management needs to expect performance. They need to establish roles and responsibilities for management, supervisors, and employees. And then they hold them accountable to those roles and responsibilities and provide positive recognition on how they are doing within the program. So positive recognition may be if they're reporting close calls or near misses, if they're attending trainings, and if they're conducting workplace inspections. Those are all good positive recognition aspects to a program. The next component is worker participation. So encourage workers to participate in the program. You can do this by giving them the time to do it and acknowledge those who do participate. There needs to be an open door policy established so workers feel comfortable coming forward with some safety and health concern. Encourage workers to report those concerns. Have a process in place for them to report them and provide them feedback. What happened after I reported this issue? What's going on? Is there any action being taken? Empower workers by establishing an environment where there's no retaliation for reporting. And give them access to safety and health information. They need access to the safety data sheets, injury and illness data, possibly inspection reports, exposure monitoring if there's been air or noise monitoring in the workplace. Post these so that they can see them. Involve workers in all aspects of the program. Involve them in setting goals, establishing safety procedures, in conducting inspection and incident investigations. Don't remove the barriers to participate. No matter what their skill set is or their language, involve them, encourage them to participate and provide feedback. The next is hazard identification and assessment. So under this core element, what we want to do first is look at OSHA, NIOSH, CDC, trade organizations for information about hazards within your particular workplaces. Evaluate any previous incidences or any exposure monitoring results that you've already conducted. And then inspect the workplace, make regular document inspections, and have a checklist to use. Watch for changes. A workplace can change without anybody noticing any new hazards arising, but look at that and make sure that if that does occur, you take a step back and identify those hazards. Identify health hazards might be a little trickier than the safety hazards. So health hazards, we're looking at chemical, physical, biological, ergonomic. The chemical, you're going to review your safety data sheets. You could have physical hazards, like you could have excessive noise issues. You want to look at any sources of radiation. Biological, you want to determine if there are any sources of infectious diseases or molds. Also identify any ergonomic risk. You want to look at any lifting activities, repetitive motion, or significant vibration issues. You want to conduct any exposure assessments to evaluate any noise or airborne hazards. Review medical records. These may be to identify cases of musculoskeletal injuries, skin irritation, dermatitis, hearing loss. And then also conduct incident investigations. There needs to be a procedure in place and also training. Not everybody has the background and the expertise on how to do this. So it's critical that some training be provided if somebody, whoever it is within the workforce, has the knowledge and skill and capabilities of doing this. Identify the hazards with any emergencies and non-routine situations. These hazards could be fires, chemical releases. Look at your infrequently performed activities. Generally, there's some maintenance activities that may pose an additional hazard. For example, cleaning a vessel or tank. You're going to be possibly entering a confined space, which typically would not be done in a normal workplace activity. You need to be looking at, weather issues, medical, how are you going to address any medical issues, and then also workplace violence. Characterize the nature of the hazards, what you're going to use for interim controls, and prioritize the controls. So when you're looking at prioritization, you want to be looking at how likely will the hazard occur, and what would be the severity from the exposure. So the next part is hazard prevention and control. So once you've identified your hazards, you need to put some kind of control in place to prevent an injury or illness from occurring. So you want to identify control options. Employee input is critical. You need to get employees to provide input on, hey, you're doing this job activity every day. Give me some input. What do you see as far as a good control option? Seek safety and health experts. Here at the Pennsylvania OSHA Consultation Program, we are a free service offered to small employers in the state of Pennsylvania. So we are a resource. Another possibility is to reach out to your insurance carrier. Lots of times they have loss control experts who would come on site and evaluate control options for you. You want to select these controls based on the hierarchy of controls. You can see a diagram there on your right, which is a description of the hierarchy of controls. So at the top of that controls are the most effective controls. You want to start there first. So you want to eliminate the hazard. Next, you want to substitute the hazard. Then the next is engineering controls, which means you isolate the hazard. Administrative controls would be change the way people work. And the last, least effective, is personal protective equipment, which is usually the first place most people go because it's the easiest option, but it is the least effective. These are providing safety glasses, face shields, hearing protection. So you want to use this as a guide as far as selecting your controls. Develop and update a hazard control plan. So once you've selected controls, you want to assign responsibilities and completion dates on implementation of these controls. And then you want to do a check back and verify how effective they really are. So as I described in the hazard identification, you also want to select controls for your non-routine tasks and your emergencies. For your non-routine tasks, you want to look at things before the work begins. If you have a scheduled shutdown, you want to look at, controls of any activities that would be going on during a shutdown. Also for emergencies, you can conduct drills, routine drills, to make sure that your assembly points are still good and your exit routes are still good routes for people to take in an emergency. Follow your established plan and look at your risks and severity and prioritize based on this. You may not be able to implement all controls immediately, but again, you want to look at the severity and the risk of the hazard that is there. Follow up and confirm that the controls are effective. Go back to your workers, get feedback, and modify things if needed. Training and education should start with an awareness training. Awareness training, topics such as program policies, functions of the program, who does what within the program, and who do people go to ask to contact with questions when they want to find out about a specific policy within the company regarding safety and health. You're going to train workers or employers, managers, supervisors on their roles in the program. You want them to know about the OSHA Act, how to respond to an employee concern, and what controls are in place already for the specific hazards that they deal with. And then train the workers on their specific roles within the safety and health program. They're going to need to be able to identify and recognize hazards and the controls that are in place. If they're involved in incident investigations, that may be part of their training. Also give them knowledge on program improvements, what the goals are within the program, how far along are we within completing our goals. Train workers on hazard identification and control would be, if you have job hazard analysis in place, you want to review these with the employees, make sure that they're knowledgeable about this analysis. You want them to know what types of personal protective equipment they need to put on to perform a certain task, how to report hazards, and about those hierarchy controls I mentioned before. They need to understand the concepts of where they are on that hierarchy and how they can move higher on the scale. Program evaluation and improvement. So here you want to monitor the performance and progress. You want to track your lagging and leading indicators. So some examples of lagging indicators would be the number and severity of injuries and illnesses, results from worker exposure monitoring, maybe your workers' compensation data. This is all lagging. This is things that have happened already. It's the reactive approach. What you want to focus on are your leading indicators. Those things are how many, some examples of those are how many employee safety suggestions have you gotten? How many near misses have been reported? How long does it take to respond to a safety concern reported? So again, these are all proactive things, and this is where you want to focus, because this is going to prevent the injuries and illnesses from occurring within the workplace. You want to share this with the employees also. They need to understand that the significance of these leading indicators and how important they are to the safety and health within the company. Verify that the program is implemented and is operating. You want to track your progress on achieving those safety and health program goals that you've just established, and verify that the key processes are in place. Those key processes might be a mechanism to report injury, illnesses, and incidences. That's workplace inspections are being conducted, and there's some sort of tracking mechanism to make sure that the hazards that have been identified during inspections have been corrected and taken care of. The next is to correct any program shortcomings and identify opportunities to improve. Workplaces changes. There might be some new equipment put in, new material used. There might be key personnel that have changed. So you got to reflect back and make sure that current conditions are still in place. Communication and coordination for host employers, contractors, and staffing agencies. Kind of mentioned this in the beginning of the webinar, where we need to really establish an effective communication between these groups. We have to make sure we are communicating the job hazards and controls, how to report hazards, and what to do in an emergency. Coordination might be to make sure that we have our bid and contract document specifications up to date. We might need to harmonize our safety and health policies between our staffing agency and the employer, or even the contractors that might come into the work site to do a specific job activity or service call within the workplace. Be prepared for staffing needs and changes. Make sure if you need more staffing that you reach out to your staffing agency to determine what those needs are. So the last thing I'd like to talk a little bit about are the resources that are available. OSHA has a dedicated webpage to support the implementation of these recommended practices. This is a very powerful tool. The link is right there on the screen, and there's a screenshot of the front page of the website. So here on the left-hand side, if you click on any one of those buttons, it will dump you into another more valuable information possibly that could assist you with developing the program. So I just want to explore two of these. I want to explore the Explore Tools button and the Additional Resources button. So under the Explore Tools is there a couple different significant, I think, helpful items under there. So the first one is the Safety and Health Program Existing OSHA Standard Crosswalk. So underneath this, and I put a little screenshot in there so you could see it. So it actually on the left-hand column is the standard and an overview. So let's look at ladders. So, we're looking at, again, the relationship between the OSHA standards and these safety and health core program elements. So if you're looking at ladders, you're going to look at hazard identification and assessment. So under those would be OSHA's 1910.25 series and 26 and 27 on ladders. And then controls, hazard prevention and control. What do they say about hazard prevention and controls as it relates to ladders within those standards? So I think another really good tool is the Safety and Health Program Voluntary Standards Crosswalk. So that takes existing safety and health program standards, guidelines, and recommended practices, and it crosses it between the core elements. So I just took a screenshot of the safety or the management leadership section. So it walks you through OSHA's 2016 recommended guidelines, 1989, VPP, the International Labor Organization guides, the ANSI guides, National Safety Council, and then ISO. So again, gives you their perspective on what should be part of each one of these components. So there's also self-evaluation checklists, there's implementation checklists, audit checklists, and then there's another document in there called a leading indicators guidance document, which is set up very similar to the recommended safety and health practice document or safety and health program document. I took a little screenshot of example leading indicators and how you're looking at your leading indicators and you're setting up your safety and health goals. So under here, there's good examples and bad examples of different goals. So you want them, again, specific, measurable, accountable, reasonable, and timely. So it gives you some examples in there on how to set that up. So additional resources, there's actually under there, we have a way to search by core element or by topic. So if you look at the left-hand side of your screen, if you clicked on any one of those core elements, it'll dump you into another whole series of different information that can help you. So if you can see at the bottom there, under management leadership, it has, if you clicked on that, the first topic there is 2016 CEOs who get it. So you might find that article useful or helpful. The other option is you could do it by topic. You can search by topic. So you can, maybe you're after, a model program and you want to look at that. Maybe you want to look at some case studies where companies have implemented safety and health programs and the benefits from those programs. So to summarize, a safe workplace is a sound workplace. There is a safe workplace, prevents workplace injuries and illnesses. It improves compliance with laws and regulations. It reduces costs, including significant reductions in workers' compensation premiums. It engages workers and enhances their social responsibility goals and increases productivity and enhances the overall business operations. So this here is a little bit about Pennsylvania OSHA consultation. This is a screenshot of our webpage, our website. As I mentioned before, it is a free service open to small employers in the state of Pennsylvania, and small can be less than 250 at one location or less than 500 nationwide. So you can go to our website and submit a request, and then 1 or 2 consultants will be assigned to you, and that consultant will reach out and set up a date and time to come to your workplace and provide assistance to you on safety and health hazards. So this is how to contact us. We have a 1-800 number. We have our website that I just showed you a little screenshot of it. We have a Facebook, and we also have a Twitter account. So our upcoming webinar topic is safety and health program assessments, kind of a nice follow-up to this particular topic. And that will be conducted on December 15th, 2021 at 10:30. And there again is our 1-800 information and our website. So just thank you for coming. And I hope that this information was helpful to you.